Welcome back, hunters. This week, I've noticed a lot of new hunters joining our ranks in Iceborne, and honestly, it's a great time to pick up this game since you get all the content right away. So with that being said, I decided I wanted to make a little highlights tips video of how to use the Rock Steady Mantle properly, since in my opinion, this tool is one of the most useful mantles out there, but it's also a double-edged sword. Using this in the right way can make you a better hunter and make your hunts more efficient, but using it in the wrong way could honestly limit your skill growth, and it could be the reason why you're having so much trouble in solo hunts or being the lowest damage dealer in a group hunt. So I'll talk about how to generally use it, some special ways for specific weapons, and things to look out for when fighting special monsters. Just quickly here, I'd like to shameless plug, if you are new to Monster Hunter, come join our Discord. We have a lot of new and experienced hunters who'd be happy to help and play with you. If you're on PC, you're also welcome to join my hunts during my Twitch streams, because honestly, that's what I always do on Monster Hunter. I love playing with the community. Alright, let's get started, shall we? If you already know what Rock Steady does, just skip ahead on the timestamps. For those who are new, Rock Steady is basically a mantle that gives you immunity to knockbacks, flinches, roars, basically anything that would stop a combo or mid-attack. Now while that sounds great, the strings attached is that you can actually still take damage, so even if you get hit, you won't stop your attack, but you will actually take damage. This is the most important thing that you have to be aware of when you're using the Rock Steady Mantle, because it will absolutely get you killed if you're not careful. Now monsters have big and small attacks, and generally speaking, Monster Hunter's design is that the big attacks will knock you down or pin you or like flinch you or throw you off, that you stop an attack, and it gives you this window that you can then either dodge or move or get out of the way kind of thing, reset yourself. That's how the big attacks usually work, but with Rock Steady, you cancel that. You take away that effect and you can actually just keep going with your attacks. Unfortunately, if you're not careful though, that means that you can get locked into a combo and get hit again by a following attack, another big attack, or another small attack by the monster. So we'll come back to this point in just a bit, but that's something that you really need to be aware of when you're using the Rock Steady Mantle. The other thing to keep in mind is that certain monsters will have very strong pin moves like Nergigante or Fatalis. These Rock Steady cannot protect you from. No matter what, getting hit even with Rock Steady, you will be pinned. So keep in mind that you are not absolutely invincible and God when you're using the Rock Steady Mantle. You're actually pretty far from it, to be honest. Alright, so let's jump into my first tip for you guys. Probably the easiest and most useful tip of using Rock Steady is right at the start of any hunt. Monsters tend to roar, as you've probably noticed, right off the start when the fight begins, and that's kind of to throw you off. I don't know why they like to, they're trying to intimidate you or something, I don't know. But Rock Steady will let you utilize that time to give yourself an advantage. So most and foremost, usually what I do is I'll start by weakening the head. You can clutch claw onto the head and just do a weaken. That gives you some extra damage. It makes sure the point is weakened and tenderized at the start of the hunt, and you can straight up get some good damage. A follow-up to that, it's probably a good idea to just go straight in, pick up some Slinger ammo after that, and then jump right into wall banging the monster. You can clutch claw again, usually within that roar time, and just send the monster straight into the wall. That gives you a big opening right at the start of every hunt for you to just stack up some high damage. On this note as well, if you have a light weapon, I'm going to remind you guys to craft the Shaver Jewel. That is now available at the Elder Melder. The Shaver Jewel will let you weaken any part of the body in one attack instead of two, which is what it usually takes for light weapons. By far the most useful jewel, in my opinion, for light weapon users. The last thing I'll note about this use of Rock Steady is that it goes very well with the current meta and the meta that's pretty much there for the rest of the game, and that is clutch clawing the monster at the start of a hunt and wall banging to ensure the monster enrages right away. That activates your Agitator's skill. For those of you who aren't aware, Agitator boosts your attack by up to 28 plus and affinity by up to 20% the entire time the monster is enraged. And thanks to the Clutch Claw feature, we can now control that and pretty much ensure that the monster is enraged like most of the hunt. So it's a very useful skill, saves some jewel slots, very great to have. But that is basically the meta for it. For those of you who are new, you won't be able to use the secret version of this perk until you hunt Brachydos or Raging Brachydos. But it's still very nice to add to early builds, and it's good practice for you at the start of your hunts to form some good hunting habits. Moving on to number 2, probably the biggest error I've seen a lot of hunters do when using the Rock Steady is forgetting to still dodge, and instead they just keep attacking. Now monsters have big and small attacks, as I mentioned before, and it's important in this game that you learn how to dodge at least the big ones, if not the small ones, at least the big ones. Ideally everything though. So throughout hunts, when you're using the Rock Steady, if you get hit, it makes a sort of chain clinkling noise that indicates that you actually got hit and Rock Steady activated. So you're not amazing. You didn't dodge anything. The Rock Steady just stopped the flinch for you. Now, this is great for small attacks. If monsters have small attacks that just push you back or flinch you, honestly, they don't do a lot of damage. It's great to have Rock Steady and just ignore those attacks and keep doing your high damage. The big attacks, however, are quite dangerous, and I mentioned the design of monsters is that after you get hit by a big attack, you're supposed to have sort of an invincibility window. Most of the time, the invincibility window is just you being knocked back or pushed far away that you can actually get up and move before the next attack comes. With Rock Steady, that doesn't happen, so you've got to make sure you're on top of this. So my advice here is that to dodge the big attacks, Rock Steady is the best time to practice because even if you miss or don't dodge properly, your character will take damage, but you will still be rolling away, so there's no consequences like a knockback. The reason I believe this will help you in the long run is because Rock Steady also cannot be active 24/7 in a hunt, so the more you practice dodging big attacks with Rock Steady, the better you will be when that mantle comes off. It'll be like that scene from Captain America, you know, where he just like emerges after being injected and all, and he's super fast and got all these super skills. That'll be you, without the Rock Steady. Now, just to prove my point here, I kind of want to show you an example of habits. Whenever I warm up, I hunt Nergigante, and I always get hit by Nergigante. I'm usually pretty rusty, so I'll use Rock Steady to practice my dodging. So here's an example right here at the start of the hunt. I get hit multiple times by the same two-step attack, from the air down and then the crystals that come from the ground. Thankfully, I have Rock Steady, so I just keep practicing my dodging of this attack. By the end of the hunt, you'll see that I have no Rock Steady, we ran out, but I performed the same dodge mechanic. But after shaking off the rust and some practice, I can now dodge this same two-step attack. So what this means for me as a hunter is that after his attack, I give myself an open window to attack Nergigante and even knock him over instead of just stepping back to heal. Now, the final big tip that I have for you guys here is to be aware of the jewels you have on your Rock Steady Mantle. You have really two options here, either offensive or support, and honestly, there's only level 1 jewel slots, so you don't have too many options. If you don't have space on your build for max attack jewels or element jewels, it's definitely a good place to put them. But in my opinion, I think support jewels are a lot better and fit very well with the playstyle of Rock Steady. I usually put 2 Gobbler jewels on my mantle, which enables me to heal really quickly. And the reason this is very helpful is because when you're going with Rock Steady and you're trying to get as much attack as possible, you are going to get hit. Maybe even a big hit will accidentally slip in and you'll lose a lot of health. With the 2 Gobblers, you can quickly heal up, even using just Mega Potions, and then jump right back into the action. Maintenance jewels are also very handy, and they can help you get back your other mantles. Typically, most hunters will run a combination of Rock Steady and Temporal. Good to just combine these two, and then you go back and forth between invincibility mantles. If you are an early hunter with not a lot of jewels, you can even practice this with recovery or medicine jewels. These are also very helpful to just focus on quick healing. I highly suggest using these support jewels on the Rock Steady since it really negates the negative effects of Rock Steady. As well, if you're a beginner hunter and using Rock Steady to learn to dodge, being able to heal is just way more important than just getting a few extra attack points. And honestly, even if you become very efficient at hunting, I found it's just way more useful to be able to quickly heal and jump back into the fight, rather than having that extra attack but then having to stop for a longer period of time to heal, and the longer you take to heal, the more exposure you have to getting more damage. And those are the main 3 things that I wanted to cover, guys. Just a couple more tips here at the end. If you are a Switch Axe user, the support jewels are extremely useful, especially the maintenance jewels. Getting your mantle back faster means that you can do more zero-sum discharge quicker with the invincibility mantles, which will really boost your DPS. Even if you can fit all your maintenance on your Switch Axe build, put the Gobblers on and then you'll be able to heal really quickly and get back into the action. Gobbler jewels are also extremely helpful for bow users, since bow is one of the only weapons that typically doesn't use health augments, meaning at some point you have to stop your attacks to heal. Having the Gobblers on your Rock Steady will help you recover real quick without getting interrupted by the monster roaring or knocking you over or anything like that. Finally, do keep in mind that some monsters do have pin moves that will still knock you down even with the Rock Steady. Namely Nergigante, which has a big move, and then Fatalis as well, that has a body slamming pin move. So as I mentioned before, it's always a great habit to learn to dodge these big attacks even with Rock Steady on. And that's about it, guys. I just wanted to throw this video together for anyone new to Monster Hunter World. This mantle is a really great tool to use, and it can really up your game or improve your skills. So thank you for joining, guys, and happy hunting. Till next time, Ska Sensei is out.